Yeah, I'm here to make a quick video. March for Life is on. I work in DC and a lot of traffic and line up in the garage. It's just a lot of vehicles. So I just wanted to make a quick video and just discuss something that just ran through my thoughts about some of the things that I've seen in the whole, I always say controversy, but that has nothing to do with it. It really has something to do with when you're an exiting Jehovah's Witness, and I'm hiding, covering up good right here. Like my next job I'm working in. I want to get the company in trouble, get myself in trouble. But this idea of Christianity, institutional Christianity, that is churches, this perception that we as ex-witnesses really buy into, and some of us, and this has to do with actually healing. Many ex-witnesses come out of the organization still stuck with the same biases and straw men that we had, that were put into our brains as Jehovah's Witnesses. Christendom is bad. The churches are in it for the money. That kind of stuff. Institutional Christianity is no good. I'm gonna tell you that part of this bias against churches has some of it to do with what they call in politics Trump derangement syndrome. It's called church derangement syndrome. That is that you come out of a cult where accountability was really, really important. Accountability was really important, and its discipline in the witnesses was really extreme. It was very, some of us are still feeling the effects of the discipline, even though it has been unjust in some cases. In some cases, it's been absolutely just. Some of us were just a bunch of hoes and gigolos, and we just, were just sex addicts or whatever, or just undisciplined in any parts of our lives. And so it didn't matter whether we were Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, or any other kind of, even in a Christian church, we just wouldn't fit because we just a bunch of horn dogs. And but the idea of church discipline is not exactly wrong, but we're just so afraid of being called on the carpet for our stuff. When you're part of a community of people, you are accountable, and they are there to hold you accountable, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We consider it a bad thing because it's a church, but in churches you have Alcoholics Anonymous. That's an association of people that are supposed to call you to accountability on alcoholism or drug addiction, and that's okay. That we don't view that as a threat, but we have to demonize churches. Even though we are now ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we're buying into the Watchtower mentality. And I'll tell you this, I have served as a pastor. I still preach from the pulpit in the current church I am, even though I hold no position whatsoever. The pastor's kind enough to go ahead and let me preach from his pulpit. And I have not always been a preacher. I started out in churches, non-denominational church, or in other churches, just taking care of people's babies during the service, nursery. And I came out of the organization, just like many of you have, still a bunch of know-it-all ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and all we knew was what we was indoctrinated with in the Jehovah's Witnesses. And that has something to do with Mike and Kim. We need to heal. We need to we need to learn what the real world is like. We have been put in Disney World. The Jehovah's Witnesses is like being put in Disney World, and you think Donald Duck is real and it's just a guy in a costume. You think Mickey Mouse and Goofy, and you think this is life. And then somebody throws you out of Disney World and says, go get a job. And the fact is, we just are not prepared for the real world. Even within the XJW community, this is not the real world. Just sticking with social media and our friendships and fellowships in social media, We're just too afraid to be a part of the real world. I stepped away from this for 8 years. I got back into this 10 years ago. And what I see is not exactly great in the XJW community. It's a lot of really people that have not healed and are addicted to their anger, addicted to their bias, addicted to their preconceptions that they were given in the cults, and they have still got this Watchtower mindset. Churches are bad. They're just all about money. When I first stepped into the church, I was terrified. I saw this big cross on the wall behind the pulpit. I saw an American flag, and people would smoke their cigarettes outside. There's an ashtray outside. And all of these things as a Jehovah's Witness, I was like, what am I doing here? These people are utterly ungodly. They got a big cross on the wall. They got politics involved. They got an American flag in there. And look at them. They're all smoking on stogies outside at breaks. And we have to wake up. That's not reality. 80% of the churches that exist out there are struggling, like the church that I served at, that died. And you know what? That means 80% of the pastors that work in churches are working another job, like I was, or sometimes 2 or 3 jobs, just so the church can survive. Because people, you're fortunate if you get someone who throws a 20 every Sunday into the plate. And a 20 into the plate does not pay the bills. Unless you've got a lot of people dropping 20s in the plate and everyone doing it. But that doesn't even pay the bills. This perception that churches are about the money. Let me tell you something. Churches do more for the community than the community does for churches. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I hate this meme about all the churches with their, tax-free property would open up to the homeless. Let me tell you something. The homeless sometimes don't want to be housed in a church. They don't even want to go into a shelter. You just don't understand what churches do for the community until you've actually done what I've done. Be a pastor in a church. Or be a regular member of a church. So I just want to say that if you're so afraid about churches, it's not like the Jehovah's Witnesses. You step into a church, if you don't like what you heard or you don't like the people, step right out. There's no big deal. You're not a member. You have to actively say, I want to be a member, and then live up to what membership means. Because to be a member means that you're going to support that church with your time and your tithe. That means you're going to spend time, you're going to be part of that community, and that you're going to support them with your finances. Because you believe that God is using that community and that facility as an outreach to others to help them to learn about Jesus Christ. If you don't want to be a member, you can just attend and come and go as you please. I went church shopping, last year, because my church had closed that I was serving in. And we went church shopping for 6 months. We visited a couple churches. We didn't go every Sunday. I don't go every Sunday. I try to go as much as possible. I haven't been to church in 3 weeks, actually. And won't be there this Sunday. But, no one's monitoring whether you're coming or going. And if they do say, we missed you last Sunday, it's because they really did miss you last Sunday. So if you're an ex-witness, don't buy into this idea about churches and institutional Christianity. There are a lot of good people that go to churches, people that care about worshiping God. That's why they go. Don't go there to make an appearance. Maybe some of them do. But I know a lot of people that, they just do things that no one else, no glory in some of the things that they do. Because they care about the people in the building and people outside the building in the neighborhood. The other thing is I want to another thing, and I might address it tomorrow. I just feel the need to address it right now. Let me tell you something. Christian history that you've been fed by the Watchtower is not accurate history. This idea that the Crusades were bad. If the Crusades didn't happen, you and I would not be watching on YouTube right now. We wouldn't be talking. We wouldn't have the freedom we have in Western civilization if it wasn't for the Crusades. The Crusades saved Europe from what's happening right now. The Islamic invasion during the medieval era would have turned Europe into a giant caliphate. And let me tell you something. Islam took over the Middle East, and it's a big desert. Because theocratic government doesn't work. And we found that out also with Catholic Church and Europe. Theocracy is not a good government to live under. It wasn't a good government in the Old Testament with Israel. It's not a good government now. Because the only theocracy that will effectively work is when Jesus Christ comes and implements theocracy. It will be a perfect theocracy. And no one will talk back to the king. So if it wasn't for the Crusades, Western civilization, which began in Europe and spilled over and eventually came to the Americas, would have never happened. The republic of this country, the democracy we see in Europe, would not exist. And it now may be obliterated because we didn't learn from history. In history, we fought back against the invasion. Now we have an open borders policy in Europe that's destroying the European countries, except for the few that are standing against what's going on. Yes, like Russia and Poland and other parts of Europe, because of their ignorance, they're being overtaken by crime. Rape is a crisis in Sweden. They have curfews. Women should not be out during certain hours of the night because rape is a crisis in Sweden. So I just want you to know, don't buy this nonsense that you were fed to by the Watchtower or by false information. The problem with social media is that there is so much false information. Be a first source historian. Read a book. Don't glean from YouTube's and Wikipedia. I mean, you might be able to get some good information from Wikipedia, but the best information you can get is by reading it from a first source. I don't read books about the early church fathers. I read the early church fathers. I don't read books about the Jews, even though I have read books about the Jews, but I also double check and I go ahead and read the Talmud. I read actual concise Jewish commentary. I read books by Jews who talk about Jewish history, by the rabbis. Be a first source historian. Don't be a copycat plagiarist. You'll never ever get anything right if you're just borrowing from other people's interpretations of things. Make your own mind by reading the first sources. The original, not the interpretation of the original. That being said, God bless you. See you at 1 o'clock tomorrow Eastern Time. Yes, I will have a breakdown of Mikey's response, at least the main points, not all the slander that he did about me. I think I covered most of that in one of the other videos. And I'm going to cover a little bit of his little recent video. Sounded like a God of War type of title, Blood of Horns, or the Puzzle of the Ages. Only a Gnostic would say the Puzzle of the Ages. Like, he's got the secret. He's got the unveiling of the puzzle. Sounds like some fantasy adventure game. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And go ahead, check us out. The number is 1-347-934-0379, Blog Talk Radio. That's Healing X Outreach, www.blogtalkradio.com/Healing X Outreach. Google Healing X Outreach, it'll pop up anyway. And you can also check it out online. And if you don't I mean, it's going to go up on YouTube. It's going to go on this channel. So if you don't have the time, you don't want to get involved in that right now, you can go ahead and check it out here on this channel. God bless you all, and hopefully the government doesn't shut down. But if it does, maybe I'll have a little bit of vacation time. Bye-bye.